What I'd like to cover today are some of the challenges that you're going to face when you move to the Philippines, or if you have a vacation that, say, goes beyond 2 weeks. These are some of the things, and I'm going to go over these kind of quickly because there's quite a few things that I want to discuss that I have found over the years are going to challenge your competency and ability, but they're all very necessary to survive and really enjoy yourself in the Philippines. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. So one of the first things that comes to mind is adaptability. You have to be able to adapt because you are going to be in an entirely different environment. In fact, that's largely why you're going to a whole different country. Now, you can look at that as being fun and exciting and adventure, which is the way I look at it. But I've run into expats who look at it more like inconvenience and trouble and a hassle. Your mindset has to be, I will encounter weird things, different things, unfamiliar things when I get to the Philippines, but I'm ready to take on that challenge. I'm willing to adapt, because what you cannot do is go to another country and expect the country to adapt to you. That's a big trap, a mindset trap that a lot of expats fall into. And they go to another country thinking, well, back in my country, when you start saying something like that, you got to change your mindset because you're not in your own country. Yes, maybe in your country, there's plenty of taxis waiting outside the mall when you come out. Now, maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't in the Philippines. But when it doesn't, you need to plan ahead, have a Grab app, or be willing to ride a hubble, which is just taking a ride on somebody else's motorcycle. You've got to be able to adapt. Otherwise, your entire visit or stay in the Philippines, you're only going to end up seeing it as one hassle after another. And I've run into guys who told me, I can't take it anymore. The problem wasn't the Philippines. The problem was how they approached what they should have known was an entirely different environment than the one that they grew up in. Now, the next thing that you're really going to need, and you're going to get checked on as you experience a whole other country, and this applies whether you're going to go to Thailand or Vietnam, anywhere outside your familiar home country, and that's resilience. Or I prefer to actually think of it more like perseverance, because part of being adaptive to your new environment, it's not like you're just going to get that taken care of on the first day. If you're moving to the Philippines for good, you're going to need that resilient perseverance to stick it out day after day after day and adapt as necessary. But you're going to need to persevere. And I have found that the easiest way to keep your mind in the right place so that you can persevere is very simple. You adopt within yourself the mindset to live one day at a time. Just about every day, one of the first things I tell my wife when we wake up in the morning is, it's a beautiful day. And at the end of the evening, one of the last things I'll often say to my wife is, tomorrow is a new day. By taking life just one day at a time, not cumulatively looking back and going, geez, I've been here 3 months and it's been a hassle of some sort every day. Oh my gosh, 4 months of this already. I don't know if I can take it. Well, if you don't change your mindset, you're not going to be able to persevere. So rather than taking it all as one huge task, take it one day at a time. Things don't freak me out like they used to. I'm able to stay calm. This is all par for the course. This is what I expected when I came to a foreign land. And you get to that point by calmly taking on each challenge as it comes. Yeah, you might get a little frustrated. Your blood pressure might go up because you're in a hurry and you're the 8th person in line at the grocery store and the line is taking 30 minutes. That's life. I mean, you might experience that in your own home country. So you just got to take it all in stride. Now, a third thing, we'll just call this cultural awareness or whatever. Yeah, cultural awareness. As I mentioned before, you are purposely immersing yourself in a completely different way of life. Everything from how the money looks, to the language, to the customs, to what's considered rude in their country, you would be smart to observe, notice how things are done. One of the things that too many expats don't recognize quick enough is that the Philippines has a very polite public society, and you will find yourself, to one degree or another, slightly ostracized and burning bridges without knowing it if you are loud, if you are rude, if you use foul language in public. That's not acceptable. And it's not acceptable in other Asian countries as well. It's not just the Philippines. And yes, back in your home country, you can curse up a storm at the DMV or whatever, and people just let it slide, but not in the Philippines. If you pull that kind of nonsense at the immigration department, they can deny you your visa for being disrespectful to an immigration officer just by talking really loud, trying to get your way, or venting your frustrations. So if you're smart, you will learn how things are done by observing and even talking to other expats or listening to videos like this, and learn how things are done in the other country. This expands into what you might call social etiquette. Like when you meet a Filipina, you're getting kind of serious with her, and she invites you to meet her parents, have a little fish and rice dinner. Learn, if you don't know how, control yourself to become a gracious, appreciative guest. Do not go in there thinking they owe you something. Many times these people are sharing with you what little they have. Be appreciative, be respectful, be thankful to them. Show your gratitude and be sincere about it. That will go a long way towards smoothing out your new life in the Philippines. Now, another area where you're going to find yourself a little bit challenged is going to be in communicating with the locals. Now, you may or may not know, but the Philippines has two official languages. The two official languages which are taught in the school and used in the courts and the healthcare system. Those two languages are Tagalog and English. Now, most Filipinos who have attended school anytime in the last 35, 40 years did learn English along with Tagalog, but they also speak every day at home whatever local dialect they happen to grow up with. So it's not uncommon for a Filipina in Cebu to have studied Tagalog and English in school, but on a daily basis, she speaks Visayan with her friends and family. So then she meets you, and this could be a cashier, somebody you're dating, somebody you're asking for directions. You come along, you're fluent in English, you don't know any Tagalog, you don't know any Visayan, you don't know any Ilonggo, and they maybe have not used their English in a long, long time, maybe since high school. You know, they call it getting nosebleed when they have to try to express themselves and respond to you in English. So you need to be patient. You need to learn to keep your sentences short. Don't give them long, compound questions. You know, like an example would be, don't ask them, well, I'm trying to get to the mall, but I want to know where it is and what time they're open, what time do they close, and what's the best route to get there. Don't do that. You will totally overblow their ability to speak English and give you a proper response. Much better to just keep your questions or statements short and clear. A better way would be to say to somebody that you just run into on the sidewalk, where can I get a ride to the SM Mall? Well, that they can understand, and that they can respond. Oh, just go over there. The taxi queue's right there. Now, probably the biggest, in my estimation, the biggest test you will have living in another land is going to be your ability to solve problems, because problems will come up. Now, you have to be able to handle these problems on an emotional level. Like I said, if you want to resolve something, like say you get to your Airbnb and the door code doesn't work, and then you got to call the landlord and they're trying to explain it, you got to keep your emotions in check. If you really want to solve the problem and get the correct code, don't start yelling at him. Don't lecture him. Don't tell him how it's done better in your country. Just focus on solving the problem. Just tell him, I entered such and such code. It doesn't seem to be working. Is the code different? Do I need to enter pound after that? What am I doing wrong? How do I get into the apartment? That's the better way to solve that problem. But it's going to be other things as well. If you haven't done your homework ahead of time, you may find yourself at the last minute, you fly in, you know you got to renew your tourist visa within 30 days, but you never actually went to Google to find out where the immigration office is in your city. So again, you have to be resourceful. You have to be good at problem solving. Okay, jump on Google Maps, type in, if you're staying in Cebu, type in Cebu immigration, and it'll give you the locations. Then you can use that, punch it into a Grab app. You won't even have to explain where you're going. He'll already know. I love using the Grab app when it's available. It's not available in all cities in the Philippines. Moving on, I would say second to problem solving, one of the most important things is your ability to manage your budget. You should have figured out your budget before you even got on the plane to go there. You should have known, okay, as a single guy, I need at least $1,500 as a single guy if I want to live comfortably in a nice place, do some travel, do some dating, not worry about my expenses. You should have at least done that already. But once you get to the Philippines and you start meeting this or that Filipina, and she starts suggesting, oh, I've never ridden a jet ski before. Oh, I've never gone scuba diving at Apo Island before. I've never done this. I've never done that. You have got to keep your budget in mind. If you have the money to do those things with her, then by all means, go and do it. But check your budget. I remember a guy out there when I was staying at Boracay, and he was actually the manager of one of the resorts right nearby. He managed the restaurant and bar area. And every payday, the various waitresses and ex-girlfriends knew he just got paid, and they would all come. Oh, can you loan me 1,000 pesos, 2,000 pesos? Oh, I need to pay my boarding house. Can you help me? And he didn't know how to say no. And so he would hand out a bunch of money, and then he would be going to the resort owner, his boss, asking for an advance on his next check because now he didn't have enough money for his own budget for the month. So managing your budget, your expenses is critical to your survival. Your necessity to use discernment when building your social network in the Philippines with other expats. Now, this applies to your dating, but let's focus on getting to know other expats in the Philippines. You will run into them, whether it's a big city or a small city, you will run into other expats. And your first inclination, if you don't know better, is to say to yourself, well, I'm an expat, he's an expat, we got that in common, he'll make a good friend. No, be very slow and careful who you hang around with and who you share information about your life with. There are guys who came to the Philippines, they're running on a very small budget, and they have learned how to scam other expats for money. And it might just simply be, oh, hey, I got money coming in Friday, but I really got to pay my rent, and I just like just a quick loan. Could you just loan me 5,000 pesos? Can you do that? Be a buddy. Come on, just help me out. And you'll never see that money again. You might not even see that guy again. It could be something small like that, or it could be something bigger. I talked to a guy that was out in Darwin, just south of Dumaguete, and he was looking to buy a boat. So he started putting the word out whenever he was at a resto, talking to other expats. Hey, do you know anybody selling a boat? Which, nothing wrong with that. But he ended up crossing paths with a guy who said, oh, yeah, I got a boat just like that. Yeah, you want to come and take a look at it? And so he takes this guy out to a place in Darwin, and it's not the usual places like in the United States where you have a pier and a slip and all that. The boat is just tied to a thick rope that's anchored in the sand. So anyway, he takes the guy onto the boat. shows him around, hey, it's in great condition. And look, I scraped the barnacles, 2 months ago, this, that, I maintained the oil, blah, blah, blah. And of course, tells this guy who's shopping for a boat, well, I'm kind of like stuck for money and the boat's worth this much, but I'm willing to sell it at a 20% loss because I really need the cash. And so the guy said, well, let me think about it. The guy's like, oh yeah, no problem, no problem. Here's my text number. Let me know as soon as you're ready to pull the trigger on this. So they both leave. So then the guy was thinking, well, I'm going to go back and take another look at the boat. He knew where it was. So without the other guy, he went back to the boat, started taking some pictures of it, and a Filipina came out of a house nearby. And she's like, oh, can I help you, sir? And he's like, oh, well, a friend of mine, a guy I know, he's going to sell me this boat. And she said, well, that's my husband's boat. And after a little bit of chatting, it became obvious the guy who was selling him the boat did not own the boat. So this is the kind of stuff that you've just got to be very careful about who you're going to take in as part of your social network. Again, there's guys that are just sort of like acquaintances. You're not really friends with them. You might not even know their name, but you see them at the resto bar. They're shooting pool or whatever. You see them on a regular basis, but you really don't know them. You don't go visit their house. And then you got guys that are kind of on the next inner circle that you actually have spent some time with and you have had a couple of lunches or beers with, and you kind of know them. But then that circle should get smaller and smaller to where you really only trust very few people. People that you've known now for years, people that you have had good conversation with, people that you have observed over a long period of time, and they consistently show a certain level of character. This is how you need to approach building up your social network. You'll have to kind of start over as you go island to island. So be ready for that process. So things like being self-reliant, being good with tech. Maybe I've had so many guys tell me, well, I'm not really good with all this tech stuff. What's a Grab app? How do I use Gcash? There are tutorials for all of this on YouTube. You need to work on how to use the technology that's in your phone. So much of this can make your life easier. Don't tell yourself, well, I'm not really a tech guy. Become one. You don't know how to use the Grab app? Go on YouTube, type Grab app tutorial. Even better, add the current year and you'll get the most recent video. But be ready and willing to learn. I mean, we could talk more about being flexible and open with the food that you're going to encounter or the patience that you're going to need, being open-minded. There's a lot of things that you're just going to need to continually be in a state of willingness to learn. Because as long as you're willing to learn, you can become good at the things you're currently not good at. And if you're willing to do that, you will thrive not just in the Philippines, but anywhere you go.